This is the second round of the Scan Invitational Tournament between AggonyDuck and Panda Warrior. The map is Armavir. The map was heavily used by the attackers in this tournament for a few reasons. The armies of Tylis and Rome also saw heavy use. And in this battle, AggonyDuck is commanding Tylis, while Panda Warrior is commanding Rome. And looking at the map here, you'll see that the attacker is going to be able to fight downhill for a significant portion of the battlefield. There are also nice open patches of terrain, as well as forests to hide from missiles, which is this is a very good map for a barbarian sword rush. So if Panda Warrior, for example, decides to take the engagements here, you'll see that AggonyDuck's forces will be fighting downhill for most of the battle. There is an exception here, and also on this hill. I'll just first go over the build of Panda Warrior. Panda Warrior has a front line consisting of 4 Hastati. He has 2 auxiliary Balearic Slingers, 2 Equites. For his mainline infantry, he has legionary cohorts, 5 legionary cohorts. Then he has some 1 Evocati and 1 veteran legionary, so 6 legionary cohorts. A total of 4 Equites. Panda Warrior has 3 raiding horsemen. He has a center consisting of, let's see, 6 tribal warriors. On the flanks he has 2 Thracian warriors and 2 Celtic warriors. He has an Oathsworn strategist general, which is a very nice choice. He can use a second wind, battle rhythm and headhunt to devastating effect against infantry. Then we have 2 Thracian warriors and 2 Celtic warriors on the flanks. Light on the cavalry, because Tylis doesn't really have any good mid-tier cavalry. And heavy on the infantry. No skirmishers. The Tylis doesn't have any elite foot skirmishers except the Thracian peltasts. But Thracian peltasts are extremely good, but against the high armor of Rome, they need to get good angles to get through the shields of the Roman legionaries. So I quite like the Thracian peltasts, but it looks like AggonyDuck opted to bring Thracian warriors instead, and they can be absolutely devastating in the late game when they are charging depleted enemy units, able to destroy them and make them rout off the field quickly. AggonyDuck is moving up the hill. He doesn't want to give Panda Warrior the opportunity to do so, and the reason why Panda Warrior is just standing here and waiting for AggonyDuck to get to him is because Panda Warrior is the defender in this battle. So the way this tournament was set up, each player picked 5 factions from a faction pool, then there were bans and picks in place. The attacker chooses one faction, the defender chooses another faction, and the attacker then chooses the map. So Panda Warrior not engaging here is, under these rules, completely fine. But those rules are a bit problematic, as we'll see later on in the tournament. If one player is designated as the defender and one the attacker, and we have a best of 3, that means that the player who picks faction first is going to be able to pick the map twice. It also means that the defender is going to be able to get into an advantageous position and just camp there, and the attacker will have to try to assail the defender in a potentially favorable position for the defender. Now, in some ways this is fair, because on a map like Armavir, if both players are designated as attackers and one player starts with the terrain advantage, then it's going to be an uphill struggle, both figuratively and literally, for the player who starts in a disadvantageous position. And in a best of 3 or a best of 5, that means that the attacker, the one who picks the map, is going to be able to fight in an advantageous position for the entire battle. So picking Armavir is going to be risky like that, because it will allow either the attacker to fight in advantageous terrain, or it will allow the defender to camp in advantageous terrain and wait until the attacker comes to him. And here's where you see the problem with having maps that are as unbalanced as they are in Rome 2 and having an attacker-defender role. because then you will see very campy games. Here we have some Equites moving up towards the Thracian warriors, but AggonyDuck is screening them nicely with his raiding horsemen. We also have some Balearic Slingers moving up. Firing into these woods is not going to be very effective for Panda warrior, but still he should be able to do a lot of damage to the Thracian warriors with mercenary Balearic Slingers. I'll just fast forward a bit until something starts happening. Raiding horse getting shots off on the Suchiai Equites. Suchiai Equites are better than Equites, mainly because they have their stats are not their stats are comparable, but the Suchiai Equites are heavier than the Equites. So the Suchiai Equites are going to be able to do more damage and knock more infantry down on the charge. But here is moving them too close to the raiding horse, doing a lot of damage to the Suchiai Equites while not really getting anything in return for it. He's going to charge here into the raiding horsemen. He's actually able to take down a whole lot of raiding horsemen with his Suchiai Equites, basically destroying that unit before the Thracian warriors can get in. So nicely done by Panda warrior. He does lose some Suchiai Equites for it, charges into the Thracian warriors, but this is a mistake. Charging Suchiai Equites into Thracian warriors like this is going to mean that he loses a lot of Suchiai Equites, even though the Thracian warriors are getting rear charge. They have such a massive bonus. They have a 15 bonus against cavalry, and 46 melee attack plus 15 and 45 weapon damage plus 15 means that these guys are swinging with 60 damage against cavalry. That's going to destroy cavalry units, like you can see here. You got a clean rear charge, but it was in the forest. And these two units of Suchiai Equites were made combat ineffective by Duck's two Thracian warriors. Look at the kills. 56 kills. These guys killed an entire unit of cavalry on their own. If this was an open terrain, then Panda warrior would have destroyed them on the charge. But since this is a forest, the Thracian warriors are going to do extremely well. Panda warrior is just kiting away, trying to pull the Thracian warriors out of the forest, which is a nice move by him. He needs to start rotating his forces around because he has some of his army tied up down here, while AggonyDuck is going to be able to move in with his very strong infantry line against the Roman infantry, and the Roman infantry can't really hold up to the assault from the Tylian army here. So he manages to pull the Thracian warriors out, but AggonyDuck is screening his Thracian warriors very nicely here with his raiding horsemen, still doing massive damage to the Suchiai Equites. Getting a good charge on the Thracian warriors, and this is going to destroy a lot of Thracian warriors, but he needs to pull out before they can retaliate. Even when pulling out, the Equites are going to take significant damage, taking damage from the raiding horsemen, and these are very cost-effective engagements for AggonyDuck. If he can manage to nullify the Roman cavalry, which he is in the process of doing, then the Roman armies are not going to be able to get the rear charges they need against Tylis to defeat them in melee. The Thracian warriors have finally had enough, but they've already been cost-effective in this battle and in destroying so much cavalry. They need to pull away because there's legionary cohort support incoming. Panda warriors, Equites, are being hammered from all sides. Manages to get in and destroy an Equite or two. Trying to catch the raiding horsemen, but these Suchiai Equites are so depleted that it's going to be hard to defeat even the raiding horsemen. And here we have another frontal and rear charge coming in against Thracian warriors. The Thracian warriors should go down quickly to this, but again they are in the forest, so they will be able to tank it out significantly against these Suchiai Equites. Destroy a lot of Suchiai Equites on the charge. That unit is basically gone. Charging into the legionary cohort to do some more damage to the legionary cohort. Very nice use of Thracian warriors this. It is a bit sacrificial, but it has made Panda warrior use so many units trying to deal with them and the raiding horse that his cavalry is at this point basically non-existent. The Balearic Slingers are in a bit of a tough spot because they are being chased away, and now the terrain advantage is starting to go to AggonyDuck again because Panda warrior has to move away from the armies of Tylis continually. And over here the terrain is more neutral. If Panda warrior takes the engagement over here, he is going to be in a slightly better position than if he took the engagements down this lane. Fatigue is starting to become a factor in this battle, because Panda Warriors' forces are active, while the infantry of Tylis is winded, so they are going to start becoming even slower. The tribal warriors are going to have a reduction to their melee attack, and that is important because their melee attack is already so low. Here we have another unit of Sociaequites getting destroyed by Thracian warriors. So the Thracian warriors have been cost effective in this battle, while the Sociaequites, it's very questionable if Panda Warrior got his money's worth back from them. Looking at the kills on these units, it's fairly obvious that he did not get good value out of them in destroying only 2 Thracian warriors. Tylis still just pushing away Rome. Rome can't take these engagements head on and expect to come out on top. Just fast forward a bit more. Tylis has 2 cavalry left. Rome has 3 very depleted units of cavalry, Equites and Sociaequites plus the Legatus. Raiding horse charging in, trying to get at the auxiliary Balearic slingers. They just get into the Balearic slingers and manage to do some damage to them. And that is important, because killing Balearic slingers is going to mean that there are less men firing, but more importantly, if you kill 10 Balearic slingers with 25 ammo, that means that the entire unit has 250 slingshot left to pour into the pour into the Tylis army. And that is of course very important. Here we have Celtic warriors. They managed to rest a bit, charging into the Evocati cohort. And Panda Warrior keeps pulling them away, which is going to cause massive casualties. Even Celtic warriors are going to do well against the Evocati cohort on the charge, when the Evocati cohort are pulling back like that. So massive kills for the Celtic warriors on the Evocati cohort. They're going to do well against Legionary cohort on the charge. They're going to the tribal warriors are going to destroy Hastati on the charge. The tribal warriors have a 26 charge bonus, which is massive. But here Panda is doing the Roman thing in sending in the Hastati and then sending in Legionary cohorts to support them. And then the tribal warriors should start going down. Engagements happening all across the lines, but the winded tribal warriors are just going to be so slow. They're going to be up against Hastati, and as these tribal warriors are fighting, they're just going to become worse and worse, and slower, so this is not good for AggonyDuck, that his troops are winded when they are engaging the forces of Panda Warrior. Very disadvantageous for him. The tribal warriors are doing okay against Legionary cohort and Hastati, but their Hastati and Legionary cohorts are going to grind it out against them. Here some tribal warriors are not getting a good charge. Well, he did manage to get a clean charge in the end. Oathsword are of course going to destroy Legionary cohort on the charge, but they are already exhausted, so AggonyDuck needs to use second wind here to make his Oathsword more effective against the Legionary cohorts, because there we go, because being exhausted is going to mean that they are fighting at minus 50% melee attack. So they are terrible when they are exhausted. AggonyDuck doing some nice surrounding here with his Thracian warriors, flanking on the Roman left. And this is the side where the Romans are holding their shields. So flanking on the right hand side is more effective. It's going to mean that more attacks in melee are going to hit. The Oathsword general is holding strong, but he's getting surrounded and hammered by cavalry. The depleted Sociaequites are taking casualties. Panda is kiting away with his auxiliary Balearic slingers. They have not killed much yet, but they might be very important in the late game. Here we have Thracian warriors going in against the Legionary cohorts and the Hastati. Just touching all of these units are going to mean that all of the units get rare charge bonuses, rare charge penalties, and the kills are going to start increasing very quickly. So one unit of Thracian warriors was able to win the entire flank here for Tylis. Massively good use of Thracian warriors, breaking 3 units. So Panda had to pull away his veteran legionaries. Tribal warriors and shield wall kind of bugging out there. The veteran legionaries are getting charged by very tired Thracian warriors, and the penalty to the Thracian warriors' melee attack is going to be very real at this point. Still a lot of Tylis left. The Roman flanks are shattering. We're going to have tribal warriors pouring into the legionary cohorts from the rear. AggonyDuck's general is not doing well. He's being shot at by Balearic slingers in the rear, and this might be it for the general of AggonyDuck. Rome is winning the center engagements. The general died, and now all the Tylian forces are at a minus 30 morale, and they will have a permanent minus 15 penalty to their morale throughout the battle. And since the tribal warriors only have 55 base morale, that means that in effect these guys are going to have only 40 morale, and losing in combat and then getting recharged, being exhausted or very tired, is going to make these units rout extremely quickly. So one of the easiest ways of dealing with tribal warriors is killing the enemy general and then going for rear charges against the tribal warriors, because then their morale is going to mean that they will rout off the field a lot quicker than they will die. The Balearic Slingers are finally starting to be effective. They killed the enemy general. They are getting nice kills against the Thracian warriors. You never want to chase skirmishers with Thracian warriors. It would have been better for Duck to just pull them away and chase the Balearics with a unit that actually has shields, because the shields of these Thracian warriors are not going to be able to protect them from missiles at all. So now we have quite a few legionary troops left on the field, some cavalry able to go for important rear charges for Rome. There are some strong units of tribals and Oathsword left for Tylis. And positioning is going to be massively important here, but I don't see the Roman army having enough troops left on the field to be able to grind down all of the Tylian forces. Veteran legionaries getting sandwiched, they are wavering, attacked in the rear, exhausted. Nicely done here by Duck in pulling out his tribals to stop the legionary cohort from getting a rear charge. Veteran legionaries wavering, and they will probably lose this engagement if they don't stabilize. Panda Warrior might be able to get his general near and stabilize by using Rally and Raise Banner. And there we go, stabilizing the Hastati for a little while, stabilizing the veteran legionaries. Nicely done and massively important at this point in the battle. Legionary cohorts charging into Thracian warriors just to throw their javelins. Stop them to enable the Balearic Slingers to get some more shots in, and the Thracian warriors being charged by cavalry are going to go down super quickly. But the Legatus might also lose some men from his unit here if he isn't careful in pulling out, but he did manage to pull them out very nicely. So finally the veteran legionaries had enough, the Hastati had enough. Oathsworn are just chasing away the auxiliary Balearic Slingers. The auxiliary Balearic Slingers are doing very nice now in the late game. These rear charges, cycle charges against Thracian warriors are going to destroy them. And if Panda Warrior manages to use his units like this to rear charge engaged units, he might have a chance, but there's just so much Tylian infantry left on the field. It's going to be very difficult to make it work. Getting a rear charge on these Oathsworn, but the Oathsworn turn around, which is going to expose their backs to the Balearic Slingers. The Roman infantry, the Roman morale is in the toilet at this point. The Legatus is probably going to go down to these tribal warriors. No AggonyDuck is Panda Warrior is firing into this unit of tribal warriors, also doing some friendly fire to his Legatus. If the tribal warriors get attacked by this legionary cohort, that's it for the tribal warriors. But the legionary cohort in the center up against tribal warriors are losing. The tribal warriors are getting attacked in the rear. It's not enough to make them waver because they are winning the current combat. The Legatus is quickly dying. One unit of legionary cohort is going to be open for rear charges. The Balearic Slingers get caught by Oathsword, and at this point there is nothing that Panda Warrior can do. Tylis won against Rome. The map was in favor of Tylis. The initial cavalry engagements went really poorly for Panda Warrior, so he didn't have the forces he needed to go for rear charges in the late game, and that enabled the Tylis infantry to grind it out, even though they lost their general. So very nicely done here by AggonyDuck. There's no way this unit of auxiliary Balearic Slingers is going to be able to kill enough units. Let's have a look at the kills. One of the Equites did well. The Legatus had 103 kills, so that was good. These units were sort of wasted. All of the Roman infantry and the Balearic Slingers did well, but they were just outmatched by the Oathsworn and by the tribal warriors. So if you look at the composition here, we have a total of 13 infantry units for Rome, while for Tylis we have a total of 16 infantry units, and in this battle that's what made the difference, because the use of these raiding horse was not very good for AggonyDuck. Overall, his Thracian warriors did well, his Oath Sword did well, his tribals did well, and Rome didn't have a response to the massive infantry capabilities of Tylis in this battle. So the first battle goes to AggonyDuck. He shows that although he hasn't been very active in Rome 2 lately, his skills are still very much sharp. The kills and losses are so similar, but AggonyDuck just brought the stronger and the bigger army in this instance. So this was the first battle. It's the best of 3, which means that if AggonyDuck wins the next battle, Panda Warrior is out of the tournament. If Panda Warrior wins the next battle, then we're going to have a third battle. Strength and honor.